The boy merely fired an ordinary magic bullet. Yet it stunned everyone present. That seemingly simple magic bullet had actually been compressed 5 times. Even the head butler of a magic family was so shocked upon seeing it that he dropped it. You have to know, this was something even some high-ranking mages could hardly achieve. Yet Aster, born as a nameless nobody, had done it. Aster was a problem solver for a prestigious magic. He had grown sick of the noble house's open and longed for a free life that broke all shackles. That day, a wyvern swept freely across the sky. Seeing that, Aster decided to retire. But because he carried that mysterious magic book, the family refused to let him leave. For freedom, he fled to the outskirts. You're the only one left. How is that possible? This isn't the combat an ordinary problem solver should have. So you've been hiding your strength all along. Aster used telekinesis to lift the pursuer by the throat. Tell me how to use this magic book. I don't know, the pursuer answered with difficulty. But then again, if even he knew, this book wouldn't he have been thrown in the basement and left to gather dust? Hand over that mysterious book now. I can beg the leader to show mercy. Maybe I'll let you become a problem solver again. Even with death staring him in the face, the pursuer still couldn't drop his air. After hearing him out, Aster gave a wickedly charming, "Why do you think I resigned? Do you have any last words?" Aster made the finishing gesture. But right then, a terrifying killing intent swept in. Along with it came footsteps so crisp they chilled the bones. Who could this evil presence belong to? He turned to look, and a red-robed mage holding a staff teleported over. Such keen perception, as expected of the finest problem solver. The one who had arrived was none the leader of the Eastern Continent as Cap Farland Daclin. "If you don't mind, I'd like to take that book from you. Then we can talk about something else." Aster was a little surprised. He actually came in person. Aster had worked under him for so many years, yet this was the first time he had seen his face. The Daclin family was one of the Eastern Continent's top magic families. It was said that its leader was the strongest mage in the organization as history. You really think you can so easily take what someone else worked hard to obtain? How shameless. As soon as the words fell, the two of them were already at daggers. Aster talked tough. Inside, he was honestly scared stiff. After all, the strongest mage on the continent was no joke when it came to aura. Seeing that Aster refused to back down, Farland also began to lose patience. Killing you and taking it is the same, though your talent is truly remarkable. After watching your battle just now, I could hardly believe we had discovered you so early. A filthy wanderer from the gray zone, who mastered the trash techniques only problem solvers use, yet somehow possesses skills of such a high level. With the Daclin family as your wings, your future would be beyond imagination. Come back, return to my side, return to the Daclin family. Of course, the magic book still has to be returned. Fine, Aster agreed. Farland never expected a few words to work so well, but in the next second, Aster turned serious. But you have to let me sit in your seat. Hearing this, Farland looked utterly disdainful, as if he didn't take Aster seriously at all. That made Aster furious. He clenched his fist tightly. Energy born from the magic circle crackled in his hand. In the next second, the lackey he had lifted into the air breathed his last. This was both a provocation and a declaration of how could Farland, a top-tier mage, possibly endure that? Since you don't want to live, I'll grant your wish. He was furious, but facing this kind of provocation, anyone would be furious. Without thinking too much, Aster took the initiative and launched the first attack. But Farland calmly raised a defensive barrier. When you are not standing in the middle of it, you never truly know who is right or wrong. Fine, it seems I expected too much from you. After saying that, Farland shifted from defense to offense. Facing such powerful magic attacks, Aster could not withstand them at all. He could only fight while retreating. What a madman. As expected of the strongest mage on the continent, whether attacking or defending, he had no flaws at all. After one round of official chase and run combat, Aster was already badly wounded. Well, it is still not too late to change your mind. Change? I haven't eaten dog food in ages. No matter how good the food is, or how luxurious the plate, in my eyes, it is still just a prettier doghouse. Take this. Aster unleashed the strongest strike of his life. However, that massive pillar of energy hit Farland's energy shield, like an egg smashing against a stone. Foolish. Let me show you what true power is. The sky was suddenly engulfed by thunder. In the next second, Aster's world instantly turned gray. He no longer had the strength to fight. He slumped weakly against a rock. "Yuri still not dead? Well, do you feel the gap now? Can we talk properly now? What, you still want me to go back? And be a problem solver again? I never said that. I only want you to become the head of the Bangxing family." What? Aster's eyes widened after hearing that. The head of a family? Declan was the greatest magic family of the Eastern continent. Its power was strong enough to challenge the throne, and the Bangxing family was one of their vassal families. So this was your real goal? No, 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 I also want your book. As soon as the words fell, Aster slowly took out the magic book. Good. You will become Declan Escalorate. Before he could finish speaking, the magic book was already wrapped in purple light. What are you doing? I can give it to you. If you don't mind me burning it to ashes. You would never. Hurry up and die already. Shut up and listen to me. Aster interrupted him. I never did this for money. Besides, it never paid much any. Have you ever heard the story of problem solving eaten by a young disciple of Declan? Forbidden magic. Yes, that bastard ate my teammates. And Declan covered it up. So you want revenge? Revenge? How ridiculous. Why would I do that? I know very well that the lives of problem solvers are cheap. My teammates were the same. I just felt I should make sure they got what they wanted. But that required a great deal of money, and I had already decided to quit being a problem solver. Thinking about it, I suppose these count as my last. After hearing this, Farland turned and snapped. A massive blue flame instantly surrounded Aster. This was Declan's blue flame. A fire that would never go out. Burn inside it. And with every fiber of your body. Regret your choice. Regret? If the only choice is to become Declan's dog, then I'd rather return to the gray zone. If I cannot do even that, then perhaps death is a kind of release. Besides, I have never felt this clear and alive. It was as if I could see rebirth. Because from now on, Aster, will no longer be bound by any. Just as he was passionately preparing to welcome death, the flames on his body began to stop burning. They started flowing toward the magic book in his hand. Right after that, the golden magic array appeared over his heart. What is going on? As the golden magic array grew more and more dazzling, after a burst of golden light, Aster arrived on an old street. He knelt on both knees, hands braced against the ground with a broken hole in front of him. This feeling is so familiar. Isn't this the gray zone from my child? And my body has gotten smaller too. Did I travel back to the past? In disbelief, he came to the riverbank. Sure enough, he looked just like he had as a child, and the river's nose stench was also terribly real. This was not a dream. Was it because of that magic array back then? Did that magic book really cast such an ability? There was no way to know. After all, the world knew very little about it. But the fact that it could make that lazy Declan family leader come personally proved just how important it was. Wait, a flash of inspiration struck Aster. He seemed to realize something. Since this is the past, that means I know everything about the future. Then my dream from back then. It turned out Aster had always had a dream. After retiring, he wanted to open a massive library so that everyone could gain knowledge. He would even place Declan as advanced secret man in the most eye-catching spot right at the library entrance. Because in the past, Aster and the others had nothing in the gray zone. They spent every day hungry and cold. He understood that it was caused by a lack of education. Just as he was envisioning the future, an unknown shadowless fashion kick landed solidly on his face. Aster, who had been kicked to the ground, was confused. Who is this guy? Why did he hit me the moment we met? I can take this. He grabbed the incoming stinky foot with one hand, then threw a right hook straight at the other person's chin. But he immediately discovered that the injured one was himself, because his current body was far too weak. Before he could think too much, a heavy punch had already smashed into his face. What followed was a whole set of military stuff. Aster was beaten until he felt a little tragic. Was he still going to be bullied even after time? Fortunately, the little thug slipped while fighting and plunged headfirst into. Seeing this, Aster thought, this is my chance. Looking at the little thug who had just climbed out of a wall, he turned and ran. Just you wait. This was not running away. This was a tactical retreat. The next day, Aster's hand had already swollen up. Just as he was thinking about how to condition this body, a red-eyed, white-haired boy walked over. Through their conversation, he learned the boy was called Damien. Judging by his clothing, Aster guessed that this boy was very young noble who had fallen out of favor because of a power struggle and gone a little mentally unstable. In other words, he might be trouble. So Aster decided it was better to avoid unnecessary, but just as he was planning how to shake him off, Damien reached his hand toward him. And a green energy magic array appeared in his hand. This was a high-level magic of the Brando family, called Light of Healing. His many years of experience as a problem solver told at this time he had truly run it, but he still could not understand why a child from Brando would appear in this gray zone. Logically speaking, Brando's current strength should still be very powerful, but just as he wanted to ask Damien clearly, those differently colored eyes of his made Aster instantly think of something. This guy is the immoral killer known as Brando's monster, Damien Brando. In the last episode, Aster had just traveled back in time when he met Damien, who would one day be known as Brando's monster. He clearly remembered that in his previous life, the Brando family helped from us problem solvers to deal with a murderous maniac. And that murderous maniac was none other than Damien. But even so, why would a child of the Brando family, after thinking care of, appear in this shabby place? Are you hungry? Let us go eat something together, Mom said. If you want to stay healthy, you have to eat properly. Do you have any spare change? Damien took out a bag of gold coins. Seeing this, Aster immediately changed his attitude. Damien, we're friends, right? Friends should share what they have with each other. Now, let us set off together and go eat. Then, what are you going to share with me? Well, Aster felt a little awkward. From now on, you can say you have a good friend. That is a very cool thing to say. Just like that, Aster soon stuffed his stomach round. They came to an inn. While making the bed, Aster asked about Damien's mother. But when Damien heard the word mother, he seemed very panicked. Aster asked how long he had been here. But his answer was a total mess. Aster nearly broke down. Was he really mentally ill? But he quickly calmed down again. I'll bring him along after all, I also need to rely on some family power. The Brando family should have quite a few advanced books too. But the priority right now is to deal with what happened yesterday. As he thought about it, he sat up. Damien, I am going to close my eyes and rest now. Don't disturb me. Otherwise, the consequences will be when I wake up. I'll take you out to play something. After giving his instructions, he closed his eyes and began circulating the great. This was a secret manual he had stolen from various major magic families in his previous. His entire skill set had come from this very. Several times during that period, he had nearly. As the technique circulated, his body began to burn unbearably hot. The impurities inside his body also began. This puzzled him greatly. Isn't this an effect that only those with a family should be able to achieve? Very soon, the impurities in his body were complete. His physical strength rose by several levels. His magic power also became pure. Its purity was even far higher than in his past life. But even so, even if he lived 100 times, he still could not beat that man. Still, his chance of successful revenge had increased by a little. The next day, Aster dressed Damien up like a middle-parted, overall wearing trainee, with medium-length hair to fool people's eyes. In the blink of an eye, the two of them arrived on the and found the person who had kicked him last time. This time, without saying a word, he went up and gave him a blow. How was this punch? You had fun beating me last time. However, the sounds of fighting quickly attracted the attention of the charcoal gang. They quickly surrounded him. You all here? Perfect. Then I'll settle all of you at once. Use magic, clench the fist, and throw rapid consecutive punch. 1, 2, 3. Aster quickly shuttled through the crowd. Damien beside him instantly turned into a cheering him on, while casting Light of Healing on the injured, so Aster could beat them to his heart. As Aster went even further and yanked down the other guy's pants to perform a merciless beating. One of them was in charge of beating them, and the other was in charge of healing them. This perverted made the thugs feel life was no longer with no other choice. They could only line up, and Aster was also extremely satisfied with his magic coordination. Before long, he dismissed everyone. Just then, Aster sensed that something was rushing toward him at high speed. Is it a pursuer? How did they find me? What should I do? I just finished a fight. My stamina and magic haven't recovered. I can only use that move. Compress, compress, compress it one more time. and it should be enough. He crouched down, formed a hand gesture, and aimed toward the incoming figure. Who would have thought that in the next second, the newcomer would kneel directly in front of him? What is going on? Damien was so frightened that he screamed too. It turned out, this person was Brando's butler, Alfred. He had come to find Damien. This is wonderful. I finally found you, young master. I want to go. Damien kept struggling. But soon, the butler wrapped him up like a spider cocoon. I am the butler of Brando. My name is Alfred. My name is Aster. The young master seems to like you very much. Why didn't you come back with us? To the Brando family? The butler revealed an expression that was hard to read, as if you were plotting something wicked. That's fine too. I was planning to build a connection with the Brando family anyway, and the place where Brando is located happens to be the necessary path to the city. It is said that Brando also owns the largest library on the east. All of this fits my plan perfectly. Just like that, they soon rode a carriage back to Brando. As soon as they got out, the butler handed him over to the person standing nearby. Young master, Langshi said. Understood. Young master Damien, please come with me. But Damien seemed very afraid of him. Langshi, I was wrong. Langshi. Damien's cries echoed through the courtyard. After settling the young master and Aster, the butler walked through the corridor and arrived before a door. You may enter. What greeted the butler head on was a magic explosion. How is Damien? If anything happened to my son? A red-haired young man shouted angrily. Please calm down for a moment. Listen to me. After hearing the butler's report, the red-haired young madam finally put away the magic in her hand. She was Damien's mother, the red-haired beauty known as the blood-stained lady. In any case, you were. Thankfully, nothing unexpected happened. No, this is my duo. We need to pay attention to that friend the young master met outside. You mean that child named Aster? Yes, he was actually able to detect me even before I revealed myself. He had already prepared to counterattack. When I approached him, he had already condensed a magic bullet in his hand. That truly is an astonishing ability. A child from the gray zone actually possesses such high magical talent. So, Matt, please promise me one thing. Early the next morning, the butler came looking for Aster in high spirits. Please become my successor. After saying that, he sank into his own little world. Surprised. Guarantee you definitely can't refuse. You know how many gray zone children dream of this? This is a chance to change a life of poverty overnight. But Aster immediately shattered his fantasy. Why? Even Aster did not understand. Did the butler misunderstand something? Just then, Damien happened to come looking for Aster. Aster covered Damien's mouth with one hand, afraid he would start spouting nonsense. Thank you very much. I am honored to be considered as Master Butler, but I prefer to remain as I am now. The butler was puzzled and began a series of assumptions. I understand now. He was born in the gray zone with nothing at all. He learned magic through his own talent. So that made him a little arrogant and complacent. After making that guess, the butler still refused to give up. Child, this world is vast. Although you are very talented, do not think that just because of that you can conquer the world. Have you heard of the valley dwarves? They only grow up inside the valley, so they know nothing of the dangers outside. I think I am more like a wyvern. Aster's answer made the butler so angry he nearly short-circuited. He decided to take him to see what it meant that there was always some. Very soon, the butler brought Aster to a training room. Do you see it? What do you think now? So this is the Brando family? Unbelievable. They are only in their teens, yet they are already well trained, though their auras are subtle. They fill the entire space. They are indeed quite good. Then will you accept my proposal? If you accept, you too will shine like these children. No. You will shine brighter than anyone. I hate that kind of dazzling aura. Aster still turned his head and refused. At this moment, a trainee suddenly stepped forward. He was clearly dissatisfied with the butler's high praise of Aster. Butler, if he doesn't understand the gap between us, he will never accept you. Aster looked a little disdainful, but the butler seemed to think his words made sense. You want to duel him? Yes, the butler thought for a moment, then asked Aster beside him. What do you think? Would you like to have a simple spar with that student? Aster understood they were jealous. Can I choose my opponents? Aster accepted the challenge. Of course, you, and you. All of you come at me together. At first, the butler was a little shocked but after thinking again, this was exactly what an heir should look like. Child, can you take responsibility for those words? Someone might say. You are insulting the Brando family. Yes, I will bear all the consequences myself. Good. 1 minute. If you can last for 1 minute, I will give you a gift. But if you cannot, I will hold you responsible. He keeps emphasizing responsibility. He is testing my sense of responsibility. This old man is still trying to drag me into his gang. Before he could think too much, the butler had already announced that the match was about to begin. Is this really okay? He is the young master's good friend. If anything goes wrong, my career will be finished. The coach beside them was very worried. Seeing that the butler said nothing, he went over to Damien, who was watching the fight. Little young master, your friend is in great danger. Quickly tell the butler to stop the match. Who would have thought Damien would say that he was also looking forward to this match? With no other choice, the coach completely lost. Lanchi beside them also did not forget to remind Damien, young master, if you get involved, Madam will be angry. I am stepping out from Don T. Run around. Hearing that Lanchi was leaving, Damien grinned from ear to ear. Soon, the coach went up to announce the match rules. The match format would be a free-for-all. The duel would continue until one side surrendered. The coach could stop the match at any time. Please remember this. Before the words had even, both sides were already locked in conference. As the coach gave the command, Aster's spirit strike rider landed a soul-piercing hit. The opponent had no time to react at all. Even his spit got punched out. What was even more terrifying was that when he turned his head, all his teammates were already down on the ground. When he looked back at Aster was already holding 5 magic bullets in his hands. This left the provocateur utterly shocked. Magic bullets? How is that possible? Although this is basic magic control, it consumes a huge amount of magic power. How could it possibly be used in actual combat? Before he could recover from a shock, Aster pushed his palm forward. The 5 bullets struck them right between the brow. Never look down on others, and never bully the weak just because this world is truly vast. Got it? You lunatic. That is not magic at all. This is magic. Physical magic. Looking at everything before him, the butler fell into deep thought. If that attack had hit him back then, the consequences would have been This magic control is truly astonishing. And more importantly, why is he so good at beating people up? Alfred. A stern voice broke his thoughts. The person who came was Madame Jaimu. Seeing Madame appear together with Lanchi, the coach instantly burst into tears. Thank you, Sister Lanchi, for saving my life. It turned out Lanchi had gone to report to Madame just what is going on. She suddenly questioned the butler. I was only conducting a simple little test. A test? You call this a test? Damien, who was nearby, still wanted to sneak away. Unexpectedly, he was still discovered. Alfred, dismiss the trainees first. Damien, return to your room for now. Aster, you too. Please return to your room. Training coach, you are fired. What? The coach looked completely back in the office. Madam gave the butler a proper lecture. I know what you intended, but this time you went too far. I am sorry, Madam. I know I was wrong. I am willing to accept any punishment. All right, let's get back to business. When Aster fought 5 opponents today, did Damien participate? No, it's just that Aster boy is far too skilled at beating people. In the magic bullet I mentioned before, he used it in today's match as well. But this time he compressed it at least 4 or 5 times, thereby increasing its power. That means his control over magic power is extremely outstanding. What a pity I did not see. But he defeated 5 trainees by himself, using only 1 magic bullet. You must know, no matter how powerful a mage is, mastering pure magic power is extremely difficult. And what about your proposal? He refused it. I understand. Go bring Aster here. I have something to say to him. Very soon, the butler brought Aster over. Madame and Damien were sitting warmly in the living room. Then she handed Aster a box, saying it was the gift the butler had promised him earlier. Open it and take a look. See if you like it. The moment Aster opened the box, golden light burst out. Inside was actually high-grade ammunition. Even in Brando, only mage troops who enter the top 5 could obtain this. However, Aster knew very well that giving away such a valuable gift so definitely meant there was something fishy, and Madame seemed to have seen through Aster's concern. You can accept it without worry. You helped Damien in the gray zone before. And besides, regarding what happened today, we feel very sorry. Just consider a small compensation. After hearing this, Aster still felt uneasy. If I eat this, Will I have to join Brando? No, truly, there are no conditions at all. Yes, none whatsoever. Then I'll gladly accept this gift. Aster's eyes practically shone with gold. He was completely immersed in the joy of receiving a gift. However, I have one request. Madam S, however, instantly made his eyes clear again. I knew it. Aster, I want you to go to school with Damien for further study. Would you be willing? He was supposed to go last year, but he kept throwing tantrums and refused, so it was delayed until this year. I never expected him to secretly run away from home because Damien likes you. If you go with him, he should be willing to attend. Damien, who was beside them, heard this and repeatedly said, "Yeah, that does make sense. This is a big matter for Damien." She was afraid that if she forced him to go to school, he would still secretly run away. And right now, she had no other way to make Damien change his mind. This is also a good thing for me. After all, that is a decent academy. In a world driven by students and connections, building academic ties would be very helpful. It sounds nice when put that way. It feels like being put on a leash. Aster thought through a series of things, and in the end said he would go back and consider it. Finally, out of curiosity, Madam asked why Aster had rejected Alfred. Because my knees are very precious. After hearing this, Madam looked utterly. The butler eavesdropping outside was even more dumbfounded. It turned out Aster was afraid that after becoming he would have to kneel often. After returning to his room, Aster immediately swallowed the pill without stopping. However, the pill's effect left him in disbelief. After absorbing only 10%, his magic power increased several, but usually, absorbing this type of pill would come with certain side effects. Yet here, there were none. Is it because of my fire seed constitution? This made Aster decide to agree to Madam S' request and go to the. After all, this way he could find partners, so he still felt like this was a trap. Just as he was deep in thought, a sound outside the door caught his attention. So he went outside. Are you the guy called Aster? He turned his head and looked. A platinum-haired guy was leaning against the wall. That hair color, but isn't he Damien the only direct bloodline? Could he be a collateral relative of the family? Why are this family's relationships so complicated? No, I am not. What, you re not? Dull gray brown hair. That annoying look in your eyes. All those features match. And you still say you re not. Hair color can show different effects depending on the lighting. And look at my eyes again. How can you say they re annoying? The white-haired boy was left speechless, but after apologizing, he turned to leave. But just then, the butler suddenly slid in on his knees. Aster, wait, let me clear up your misunderstanding about me. I couldn't speak with you last night, so I didn't sleep well all night. Even if you become a butler, you don't have to kneel like I do. This is just my habit, so this is a misunderstanding. But before Aster could say anything, the white-haired boy who had just been about to leave started pointing at him and scolding him. And you still said it wasn't he? How dare you lie to me? ILL. Before he could finish speak, the butler's stern expression beside him scared him off. I'll let you go for now, but later you must come to the magic hall to find me. I will correct that attitude of yours. After saying this, he turned and, what happened? The butler asked curiously. Nothing, but asked her thoughtfully. Watch the white-haired boy leave. Oh, may I meet Madam? Of course. Very soon, Aster arrived at Madam's office. Then he said he had decided to go to school and left. The butler who came in afterward, after learning Aster had decided to attend school, was so excited his eyes shone. This meant he still had a chance, because Madam would only cover his first semester's fee. Then by the second semester, he would worry about the cost. At that time, the butler would appear like a savior. Then he would be too embarrassed to refuse again. Alfred, you are too noisy. Madam interrupted the butler, who was going wild. I am sorry. I'll take my leave now. However, after the butler, Madam fell into thought again. This academy proposal was truly a plan full of holes. But fortunately, he agreed. On the other side, Aster also arrived at the magic hall, led by the guard. He came to a door. The guard reminded him to watch his head when going in. Aster did not pay much attention. Who knew that the moment he pushed the door open, a pile of dusty scrap paper would smash down onto his head? When he finally came back to his figure holding a candle walked over. It is nice to meet you. You are here to meet my younger brother. Good luck. The boy had crossed into an age of magic. Without magic, one could not survive. But to step into the ranks of mages, one had to pay a painful price. That price was hair loss and becoming bald. At first, they would keep their robes over their heads all day. To slow down the hair loss, after turning into a Mediterranean hairstyle, they would give up and accept it calmly. Then they would simply shave off the rest. Finally, they would begin researching the modern hair loss population as greatest how to make hair grow back. Last time, Aster came to the magic hall as promised, and met a lantern-carrying boy. First, I need to apologize. He is the youngest brother in our family, so we have doted on him especially much, but I never expected him to treat the young master's guest so rudely. Aster did not expect this person to be so refined. The complete opposite of that guy. You work at a magic research institute, right? Yes, I currently serve as deputy supervisor. Hearing this, Aster was surprised again. To become deputy supervisor at such a young age, a noble family like Brando would not appoint a deputy merely based on bloodline. That meant he had the skills to match. Aster, you are very special. You are different from ordinary wanderers of the Black-White Zone. Haha, is that so? Seeing Aster answer with a smile, the deputy supervisor instead fell into thought. Damn it, if he had come in with caution, things would be much easier to handle. Yet he does not appear guarded at all. Instead, he wears a gentle and friendly smile. His personality is far too different. Right, you were invited to enroll in Zeningwood Academy, correct? Congratulations. Yes, this is a very good opportunity. After all, at this age, there is still much to learn. Actually, I am also a graduate of that academy. Hearing this, Aster thought to himself, is he already trying to get close to me? The deputy supervisor seemed to notice and hurriedly scratched his head in embarrassment. He said that after hearing the news of your academy admission, he got a little excited. Then he set down the cup in his hand. Then let us get straight to the point. Can you risk your life for a friend? What? The fate of the Brando family hangs in the balance. If you can do it, I will give you this book. As he spoke, he took out a book glowing with golden light from his chest. This was Brando's core top secret technique, the secret manual of regional life. At the same time, Madame was tending to her back garden. The matter of Damien entering the academy had given her quite a headache. Fortunately, this time it was handled smooth and no problems occurred. At the very least, it reduced her worry. That child Aster really is a good friend. His talent is rather impressive, and as for his personality, according to Alfred's account, he can be a little reckless sometimes, but everyone is like that at his age. However, what I like most is that even after knowing Damien's background, his attitude did not show a trace of hypocrisy. He is very special. That is why he is worth getting close to. But he is unrestrained, like a free little bird. Keeping him will be difficult. I need to think of another way. For Damien's sake, I cannot let such a genius slip away for nothing. Back at the magic hall, Aster clearly understood that offering such a huge reward definitely had motives behind it beyond just this. Those clear, transparent eyes made people unable to see whether good or evil. Emotions should show through a person's eyes. But he was like an assassin, revealing no emotion at all, whether good or evil. Emotions should be subtly reflected in a person's eyes, but he was like an assassin, revealing no emotion whatsoever. In other words, he seemed like someone wearing a mask. Even he himself could not feel himself. Seeing Aster remain silent, the deputy supervisor continued, I am not saying this casually. You do not need to answer in a hurry. Think it through first, then speak. No need. I refuse. After saying that, Aster crossed his legs. The two of us both come from the same slum, so there is no need to be so stiff. If you have anything else, please tell me. If it seems worthwhile, I will do it. If not, I will not. Even just hearing it could possibly endanger your life. If you refuse after hearing it, I may have no choice but to kill you. Aster, the deputy supervisor, suddenly changed into a then kill me. Aster showed no weakness either. Who would have thought that as soon as the word the deputy supervisor's aura would serve, violet winds instantly rose around me. However, Aster did not take it seriously. He sat calmly in a chair. Seeing this, the deputy sup withdrew his aura instead. All right. I cannot take it anymore. Aster, you passed the test. Yes. I was only trying to find someone trustworthy, and that person cannot be someone from Brando. Hearing this, Aster was a little speechless. He thought he had almost been forced to use his strongest punch. To be honest, I did not hold much hope. Wanderers from the Black-White Zone are all the same, and the young master is too young. He cannot tell good people from bad people. but for Madam, who loves the young master deeply. Leaving a wanderer from the black-white zone beside him simply will not do. But afterward, my younger brother argued with the guest. Is that all? Aster was getting a little impatient, and directly interrupted him. All right, all of that was just an excuse for me to borrow you. Using my own younger brother as bait. This person really does not play by the rules. In fact, I am currently being watched by the Declan family. Why, and them, since you said you were not afraid of death, I will tell you everything honestly. I am researching Declan's celestial origin art. But it seems I have been discovered. You should also know about the celestial origin art, right? It is a secret technique only members of the Declan bloodline can learn. When I obtained it by chance. Wait. Aster interrupted him again. If Brando researched it, they would naturally study countermeasures and cut. You know it too. The Declan people are extremely reckless. If they knew I had researched this beforehand, even as a deputy, they would still try to kill me. But listen, at first I only wanted to research countermeasures, but it is already too late. The celestial origin art is said to be the root of all Declan techniques. It is a supplemental, used to perfect existing perfected technique. I can no longer stop. Aster, you should be able to understand how I feel, right? This is way too insane. He is clearly the deputy supervisor of the family's magic, yet his heart is set on researching an enemy family's magic. Even after being exposed and watched, he still refuses. What he does not know is that it was precisely because of this act that the Brando family suffered utter destruction in the previous life. Just now, the deputy supervisor invited Aster to join his research project. After Aster listened to his explanation, he calculated the timing and realized it perfectly matched the time of Brando's and he instantly understood why Farley would risk his life to attack Brando. So it turned out that guy had long since seen the potential of the lead ring project. This was also the reason that guy became so powerful. Aster. Hens's call broke through his thoughts. Well, have you decided? Aster scratched his head a little awkwardly. Can you tell me why you chose me? First of all, I have not told any about the lead ring research. That includes my family, but it feels as though Brando has planted a spy somewhere. Yet I have never been able to find them. If this secret research was exposed, wouldn't someone be suspected of being involved? For example, your sect. That is impossible. Strictly speaking, it has more to do with the acquisition route. If they trace it through the acquisition route, they will definitely reveal themselves. Exactly. When I realized I was being watched, I took some measures. After all, I do not want to die. Then why not just join Declan directly? They would definitely welcome you, wouldn't they? Well, I can only say it is for personal reasons. In any case, Aster, since you have no connection to the Brando family, how about helping me in secret? Honestly, this is a collaborative research project, but as for the part I am currently responsible, I cannot make any progress at all. However, I will make sure you receive the reward you deserve. Please help me deliver this hot item to Professor Palin at Zeningwan Academy. Then I will give you the spell for a light of healing. After hearing this, Aster agreed very readily. After all, he felt this was a good opportunity. I will accept light of healing as risk compensation. But only after the lead ring project is completed, and we truly be called partners in the same boat. What do you think? Either we both win, or we get nothing. Hence understood that Aster wanted to share the research results. Aster, you really are shameless. Aster said nothing unnecessary. You only need to answer yes or no. If it is no, then I will not accept. Fine, but since you have not yet mastered the lead ring, having it would be useless to you. Once the new lead ring is completed, I will give it to you, but I also have one condition. Before this research paper is completed, you must follow my arrangements. Fine, that is not difficult. If it is related to the paper, I will help. By the way, I cannot read, hence clearly did not quite buy it. Also, is this Palin trustworthy? Ah, he was my classmate. From student to professor, the two of us have always been right. After hearing this, Aster froze. One madman is already painful enough. Who knew there would be another one at the academy? This world is truly insane. After returning home, Aster dumped everything out in one breath. As for why there were so many books, it was because Hens was afraid of being traced, so he used them as camouflage to fool others. There was also a letter mixed inside. He opened it and looked. It read, Dear Aster, I have selected and packed the essential magic manuals you must master, and I have already written out your future study plan. So please devote yourself fully to learning, and show your wisdom, your friend. Hence Brando. Aster looked at all these magic manuals, and the corners of his mouth could not. After all, his wish was to fill that tower with magic manuals so that more people who had no way to attend school could have a little more chance to learn, but this would still require Damien's help. On the other side, Hence was still savoring what happened during the day. Aster really is becoming more and more interested. There was not a trace of fear of death in his eyes. Does he really think I would not dare to kill him? Sure enough, he is different from the other pigs. It seems he is hiding many things, but that is also a good thing. It means I have found someone on the same level and heading in the same direction as me. He even wants my research results. That really is surprising, but can he really not read? HMPH, absolutely. Early the next morning, Aster had already changed into his school uniform. He also packed his luggage and prepared to set off for the academy. The maid who came to lead the way praised him repeatedly, and also told him he only needed to report to the academy. The entrance had already been waived for him, and Damien was quite normal among wealthy families. Calling it going through the back door would not be. At the same time, Madame had already been waiting with Damien for a long time. After all, if he did not see Aster, he would not get into the carriage, and Aster, who was about to embark on a new journey, also looked especially energetic. Madame could finally consider one worry set. After all, Damien running away from home was something she did not want to happen again. The butler driving the carriage was the most excited. After all, that was the top academy on the eastern continent. My academy classmates and part I am coming. The dignified young master of the Brando family was actually bullied at school. Just now, Aster and his group were riding a carriage towards Ziningwan Academy. Damien was as happy as a child, and one could not tell at all that he had previously run away from home to skip school. Aster was not idle either. Along the way, he kept reading the books Hence had given him. Only after reading them did he realize Hence was undoubtedly a brilliant mage. The basic principles of magic were simple, but the interpretations of them were endless. Take water, for example. To some people, it is ordinary water of life, but to others, it is water of disaster, like a surging flood. Simply put, when the perspective is different, the effect becomes different too. Even when following the same standards, the major families would still interpret and develop magic differently according to their own perspectives. However, he also discovered that Hence's book had a close connection to Declan's celestial origin art. Just as he was lost in thought, Damien's shout interrupted him. Friend, look quickly. We read here. The school is right in front of us. So this is Ziningwan Academy? The carriage cannot go inside. For this entrance ceremony, according to the great teachings of the first dean, all students must walk, regardless of their status. I wish you both a happy school life and academic success. After saying this, he left by carriage. After seeing Lanchi off, Damien grabbed Aster's arm. Friend, we have to hurry. Lanchi said that if we are late, there may be no seats for the entrance ceremony. Aster was a little stunned. What nonsense is he talking about? It is an entrance ceremony, not a local theater. Are the seats first come, first? So he quickly reacted. Since Lanchi said it, then it must have been to set things up in advance, so Damien would not drag his feet. Fine, I will forgive him this time. He may be very straightforward, he is definitely not someone who lies through his teeth. Just like that, Aster was dragged into the school by Damien. They arrived at the lecture hall. There were clearly not many people, yet Damien was unusually excited. He kept looking east and west, like an old grandma entering the city to comfort his flagship highness. Aster still took out the notice and carefully checked their seat. They were class 3, seats 11, and at this, Damien became unwilling. Can we sit over there? If we don't sit soon, there will be no. Seeing this, Aster was stunned again. Does this guy look like someone who hates school? But before he could think more, Damien plopped down on the ground. Looking closely, a burly man had appeared before them. So it turned out they had bumped into you. Are you all right? Luckily, I am not hurt. After standing up, Damien apologized to the burly man and was about to leave, but in the next second, the burly man called out to them. Hey, look what you left on my clothes. Aster turned his head to look, and found that Damien's drool had gotten on a man's sleeve. This person was probably the descendant of some noble and cared a lot about cleanliness. Seeing this, Damien innocently tried to wipe it off with more drool. He discovered there was more and more drool on the sleeve. Seeing this, the burly man instantly exploded without the slightest hesitation. The burly man threw a punch at Damien. Luckily, Aster reacted in time and blocked his fist with one hand. Let us stop here. And who are you? He is my friend. Damien rushed to answer. Aster also casually replied, his friend. Then you really are a good friend. Very few people are willing to take a beating for. However, today you will regret that choice. I originally thought I could get along with my classmates. Now it seems that is impossible. At this moment, the argument attracted even more attention. What is going on? Does it feel like they were about to fight? And who are they? I don't know. That big guy looks like he is from the Dalanpei family, but I have never seen the other two before. The onlookers discussed among themselves. Then who do you think will win? I think the Dalanpei guy will win. Don't you think so? I heard their family's new kid is supposedly very strong. At this moment, a middle-parted boy shouted from behind. Are you people joking? Ain't you see they were about to fight? What are you all doing? Shouldn't you stop them? How did things develop to this point? Quick, have the children spread out, clear some space. That gray-haired kid is a mage. Set up a barrier around them too. The people outside the barrier started betting on the matter. Heck! I bet on you. I bet 2 meal tickets. I bet triple. There were also sharp-eyed people betting on Aster's side. Idiots. Betting on the weaker side is the only correct choice. I am Hicks, the pride of the Dalanpei family, the second son. What is your name? I do not have a grand background like yours. Just treat me as a passerby. You are not from a noble family. That does not matter, since you are a mage. Such a narrow stage must be a disadvantaged. So I will let you attack me first. You talk so much. Are you scared? Ix seemed to have been hit where it hurt. His whole body trembled, but he was furious. You bastard. After saying that, he swung his fist at Aster. Aster dodged it with a handsome tilt of his head. That made him even angrier. Aster also refused to back down. He clenched his fist and was about to swing it over. You got it wrong. Those two bastards always push off responsibility the moment something happened. The boy before him was excitedly waving his hand, trying to show himself as if afraid others would not know he was his companion. He was so angry at this behavior that he nearly lost. It turned out that just now, Damien had dirtied Hicks's clothes. Hicks could not swallow his anger and wanted to hit him. That was how the fight broke out between both. After taking a punch in the previous round, Hicks gnashed his teeth. Damn it, you are nothing but a little mage. Yet you dare be so arrogant. After saying that, he threw a punch. But Aster dodged it by turning sideways. So what? Aster, no. Damien continued provoking him, seeing the arrogant expression on the other side. Hicks thought Aster was looking down on him. Rage instantly rushed to his head, so he swung his fist at Aster again. For a moment, the clash of both sides' techniques instantly filled the surroundings with dust. The classmates watching the show nearby grew more excited than the nice one. Keep hitting him. But Hicks, whose momentum was soaring, soon sensed something was wrong. His fists had clearly landed solidly on Aster, but why had they caused no damage? It was like punching a sponge. It turned out Aster was using clever footwork to neutralize much of the attack. This was similar to Chinese martial art, the Tai Chi principle of using 4 ounces to move. After one wave of attacks, Aster, completely unharmed, the dust from his body. Hicks was dumbfounded. His attacks had actually done nothing. He burned with rage. Refusing to believe it, he once again launched an attack at Aster, but at this moment, Aster froze on the spot. It turned out he knew Damien had been constantly healing on the other side because Damien clearly knew Aster's strength and was afraid Aster would not get to fight, so he kept casting healing on the opponent. Aster knew that going on like this was not a solution, so he had to finish him in one move. Then he summoned magic lightning in his right hand. This was a technique created together by his past companion. It obtained energy through the collision of magic particles. Although it required magic power, it belonged neither to martial arts nor to the category of magic. It merely used the properties of magic power. Strictly speaking, this was purely a technique called collision mode. This punch struck Hicks right between the brows. The shockwave energy it produced even shattered the barrier set up at the beginning. The mage maintaining the barrier was stunned. What kind of power is this? And Hicks, who had been hit head-on, seemed frozen in place, not moving at all, as Aster lightly stomped his foot. Hicks collapsed stiffly to the ground. Everyone around was dumbfounded. None of them could believe this was real. Aster also made a celebratory gesture. "This is my answer." Those who had first bet on Aster began cheering too. He did it. That was so satisfying. This is exactly how a weakling's victory. Meanwhile, those who had misjudged him were still in disbelief. Is this the kind of power a mate should have? Damien also entered fanboy mode. "Friend, we won." "Yes, we won. But from now on, stop sacrificing your fingers." Aster forced out a smile. Little did he know, someone in the distance was silently watching him. That person looked about the same age as them, probably a student from the same year. "I never expected someone who studies to fight like this. It is truly unbelievable. This is simply crude." Just as they were preparing to leave, urgent shouts came from behind. "Move aside. Move aside, you bastards." Who started fighting at the opening ceremony? A man with middle-parted bangs was yelling at the crowd. Seemingly someone responsible for maintaining order. The scene instantly burst into noise. "Was it you? Was it you? If you do not scatter, I will arrest all of you." Aster realized trouble was coming, but he was not panicking at all. After all, he himself had been a problem solver. There were too many ways to clear himself of blame. Besides, everyone had enjoyed it, so this would become something hard to forget. But just as he was thinking about what to do next, Damien excitedly waved at that person and shouted, "It was not them, it was us, it was us. Look here, look here. We are here." Seeing Damien's pig teammate behavior, Aster's face was written all over. "My God, that is right. It was us." He was clearly just an ordinary magic teacher. Yet countless assassins came to kill him. All because he held a secret thesis in his hands. To seize it, those families began open and hidden struggles. The continent's #1 academy directly became them. And here, a magic world version of Infernal Affairs was about to end. The last episode, after Aster knocked out Hicks, he voluntarily confessed. Then the two of them were called aside for discipline. But considering the two of them were first-time offenders, and the person who got beaten did not have any serious sin, they decided to give only a warning. After being handled and lectured, the two returned to the opening ceremony venue. Everyone around was discussing them. Damien seemed to really enjoy being the center of attention, while Aster was the complete opposite. He did not want too much attention. After finding their class seats, Damien happily said there were actually still seats. It seemed the classmates in their class were all quite. Then an old man stood in front of the crystal microphone. This was the principal of Zeningwan Academy. The opening ceremony was hosted by him. But before long, Damien became just like everyone back in the drooling down below. Aster could do nothing about it either. He could only wipe Damien's drool with his own hand. But right then, the speech was interrupted. Someone came to the principal's side and whispered to him. After listening, the principal cleared his throat. Then he announced that he had urgent matters and needed to leave first. But what could be more important than the opening ceremony? Before there was time to think, a fierce brown-haired woman loudly declared that she would host the opening ceremony next. Her booming voice startled everyone. Damien also woke up from his sleep in fright. The woman's name was Jella. She was probably a female teacher. She then announced the start of the student oath ceremony. The first to go on stage was the representative of the Magalier Dinny. He was the third child of the head of the Dinny family. When he walked up to the podium, the people below began judging him. They all guessed he had chosen to enter the academy because his skills were lacking. But perhaps this was just a smoke used to confuse the outside world. Think about it. If his skills were truly lacking, would his family let him come out and embarrass them? Moreover, if the Declan family was the strongest mage family in the East, then Dinny was the famous family ranked second. Among them, Dahlia gradually became the future representative of mages. He became the Dinny of eternal second place. His abilities were very strong. In the past, had also received quite a bit of help from him, but the two of them did not get along well. So people called them not so good friends. Seeing that Dahlia had also joined the academy, Aster could hardly hold back the corners. Jella read out the name of the next person taking the oath, but she did not read out a surname. So he was probably not a noble. Just like that, Dahlia and Paulo took the oath as representatives of their and walked down. On the way, Dahlia and Aster exchanged looks. He seemed to be communicating with Aster through his eyes. Aster did not know what he wanted to express, but perhaps because he was too focused, Dahlia accidentally tripped while stepping down from the stage and fell directly at Aster's feet. But Aster paid him no attention. He quietly watched the person speaking on stage. That person is Professor Palin, right? When did he get up there? After listening to the speech, he learned that Palin would be responsible for part of the content. In other words, he was about to become Aster's teacher. But Aster did not seem to like his style very much. Before long, Jill announced that the opening ceremony had successfully ended. At this moment, Damien was still drooling. Seeing that no matter how he shook him, Aster decided to tease him. Hey! Wake up, because you slept during the opening ceremony. You have already been expelled. Let us go home. When Damien heard he had been expelled, his face turned green. Aster had not expected him to be scared this badly. After finally calming him down, Aster prepared to return to his own dormitory. The moment he opened the door, the dormitory environment left him amazed. Not only was the space spacious, the decoration style was also quite unique, and everyone's setup was exactly the same. Very soon, Aster put away his belongings. But just then, someone came in. The newcomer was none other than Aster's roommate Paulo, who had just taken the oath on stage. But his appearance gave off the feeling that he was not easy to get. Sure enough, as soon as he entered, he said everyone should live peacefully from now on and not interfere with each other's lives. Seeing that Aster did not respond, he continued asking. But little did he know, Aster was already itching to test his skills. Seeing Aster lower himself in charge over, Paulo also assumed a sword-drawing stance. But with just that one motion, Aster realized the person before him was not simple. He had actually made a sword-drawing motion in an extremely short time and adjusted the sword to the best angle, so that when he drew it, it would not touch anything around him. Just as both sides were about to make a move, Damien's shout came from afar. Aster was very helpless. He had clearly only just come over from Damien's side. With no other choice, Aster's plan was ruined. He patted Paulo on the shoulder. Let us do it the way you said. After saying that, he came outside the dormitory, where Damien invited him to get familiar with the camp. This was what Langshi had instructed. He said the academy had many landmark buildings, so they absolutely had to take. Zening Academy was huge. Langshi had said this on purpose to stop them from getting lost in the academy. In truth, he wanted them to learn the academy map. Aster also felt this was killing two birds with one stone. After all, he also had some things he needed to. It turned out he had faintly sensed quite a few problem solvers inside the academy. He needed to figure out exactly how many there were. Just like that, while enjoying the academy scenery, they also familiarized themselves with its. Soon, they arrived at an artificial lake. Damien liked it very much, leaving Aster somewhat speechless. Did he really have to like everything he saw? So he suggested going back and having Langshi make one for him. After hearing this, Damien immediately agreed. At that moment, Langshi sneezed heavily. When Damien asked what name they should give the lake, Aster's answer made Langshi, far away, feel a chill down his back. He said it could be named Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Next, they arrived at a statue. Without a doubt, Damien once again said he liked it. When he returned, he wanted Lang to make him a wyvern statue too. Langshi, far away at home, instantly felt his forehead. After wandering around for most of the day, the two of them finally finished touring the camp. During this process, Aster discovered 7 problem solvers. Adding in a few uncertain ones, the number was probably around 10, and based on their distributed positions, their central point should be the second magic hall. The second magic hall was precisely the building where Professor Palin's laboratory. From this, he learned that their target was Professor Palin. Declan must have already realized that, hence had to help her. That was why they suspected Professor Palin, who had contact with him. But Aster was puzzled. Why had they still not made a move? Were they waiting for the right timing? Thus, he decided to investigate the magic hall that night. Soon, night fell. 2 problem solvers gathered here. They had received orders from above to assemble tonight at the secondary target's location. They had divided the targets into ranks. Hence was the primary target, while Palin was the secondary target. It turned out they had received information that hence had exposed Palin's identity. So tonight's target was Palin. But soon, he realized something was wrong. They simply could not handle this magic professor. The number 1 problem solver had no time to. The others ranked near the top were nowhere to be found. Were they supposed to go and die for nothing? Just as he was at a loss, the other person said Callahan would come. The moment he heard Callahan was coming, he instantly found it unbelievable. That was the fire demon known as the Crimson Emerald. As the vice commander of Declan's Mage Corps, he was actually taking action personally. That also meant the danger level of this mission was extremely high. Seeing that he was a little panicked, the other person said, "Things might not necessarily turn into we should be a little braver and more united. Let us set off. This will be our glory." After saying that, they leapt out the window, but what they did not know was Aster had seen all of this. Having lived once before, he naturally knew Callahan was someone who had enjoyed his own peak. After the Declan family risked everything to fight the Brando family, in order to prove his loyalty, he chose to remain with the declining. This person was very dangerous, because after fighting Brando, his fire demon had become unstoppable. He was someone who, as a battle mate, had left his mon history, and Aster himself had to capture him, because he wanted Callahan's magic. This magic was one of the Declan family's spark secret art, and is one of the mages famous across the continent. Aster believed he was worth risking, but what he could not understand was that the target they mentioned, hence S report, was currently on him, and his copy could not possibly be fake. So why were they going after Professor Palin? Could it be that the report to be delivered tonight was fake? At midnight, Paulo changed into night walking clothes. He passed by Aster's bed with his weapon. He glanced at him speechlessly. Little did he know, Aster was only pretending to sleep. On the other side, Professor Palin was meditating with his eyes closed. He could not understand. Those rats from Declan had always acted cautiously, yet this time they had caused such a huge commotion. What were they trying to do? Just as he could not figure it out, the office door opened. A fully armed figure in black walked in. Palin thought it was a mercenary, but after the other party removed his disguise, he realized, so he opened his mouth to remind him, next time, if you want to disguise yourself, first learn to conceal your aura. That is the basic principle of secret operation. After hearing this, Paulo said no and merely handed him a letter. Palin opened the envelope and discovered it was actually a letter from he could not understand, hence clearly knew he was now under suspicion, yet still sent a letter over at this time. Was that not walking right into a trap? But then he thought again. That cunning fellow would not be so stupid. Before he could think further, the table beside him exploded. When he looked back, it turned out Callahan had arrived. The two of them quickly entered a tense state. At the same time, Callahan was also surprised that there was actually one more, but it did not matter. They were all going to die anyway. After saying that, a flaming magic circle appeared on Callahan's finger. Seeing this, Palin also released an ice magic circle. The instant the two collided, an explosion erupted. Palin's ice instantly melted into water droplets. He signaled Paulo to protect himself. What next? He had to focus on fighting. He had no time to take care of him. Paulo nodded, saying he could manage. Palin understood. Such a huge disturbance at the defense system had not triggered an alarm. It must be because Callahan had blocked it. Then next, it would be one-on-one. Callahan also entered serious mode. His entire body was wrapped in flames. Palin also summoned ice pillars all over the both of them were gathering power. In the next second, a huge explosion tore through the laboratory roof. Aster, who arrived late, could only watch from afar. He had not expected everything to come so quickly. He put on his mask. It had been a long time since he felt this way. Aster, the #1 problem solver, was about to appear. A battle of the century broke out. No one around dared to approach rashly, but just as the two were locked in an inseparable fight, a masked man suddenly appeared, turning the evenly matched battle instantly into a one-sided. It turned out that just now, Callahan had suddenly attacked Professor Palin. The battle between the two had blown open the rooftop. Meanwhile, on the other side, Aster was silently watching the front. No one knew how this infernal would come to an end. Nor did anyone know who would be the final winner. Under the bright moonlight, Aster clenched both hands tightly. He prayed to the moonlight god. In this life, he would become an upright problem solver. Even though he had never been upright before, he still chose to move forward. However, this place had already been destroyed beyond reckoning. Callahan was releasing flame spells with a look of pure enjoyment. He had not expected Paulo to actually survive the aftershocks of their powerful attacks. It turned out Paulo was carrying an amulet given to him by his captain. It was a divine artifact with protective function, just as he was feeling lucky about it. Professor Palin shouted for him to get out of the way. Callahan and Professor Palin clashed again. The two were evenly matched. The violent collision of their skills made the surrounding air feel suffocating. After one wave of attacks, Professor Palin began praising Paulo's combat level. He had not expected a mercenary's combat quality to be this outstanding. He did not need to split his attention to protect him at all. After saying that, he enchanted Paulo's sword. Paulo had never seen this kind of operation before. Out of concern, Palin asked whether he could control the enchanted sword. Paulo said in response that now was not the time to consider whether he could control. If he could not control it, he would die here anyway. After saying that, he signaled to attach as much magic as possible to the blade. Facing the two of them, Callahan showed no fear at all. He raised his hand and released a fireball. Paulo was quick-eyed and quick-handed. He used the newly enchanted sword to block it. Palin remained very calm. He knew his guards had already been dealt with. If this dragged on, his situation would only get worse and worse. Looking at Callahan, who was growing increasing, he decided to risk everything. When the total amount of magic power distributed in nature is if multiple casters issue commands, a battle for control will unfold between those casters. Then next, it depends on who can absorb more. Seeing their formation, Callahan also realized the other side was going all in. He completely fell into madness. His whole body was filled with energy. Lightning crackled around his body. Both sides once again clashed with their skills. A contest of power formed an energy sphere around them. Countless streams of matter began gathering toward the center. In the next set, the saturated energy sphere caused a huge explosion. The force of the explosion blasted Paulo away. He also had not expected the battle to be so fierce. This was simply not something he could interfere with using once. He watched the two continue their magic battle from far. Every one of them was a monster. Battle of this level, even if he was anxious, wanting to jump in and help, was nothing but a fool's dream. And the two continued casting spells, causing a massive tornado to appear above the rooftop. Everyone outside could not help sighing at how brutal it was. They did not dare act rashly, because in a battle of this level, going up there meant delivering themselves to. But just then, a figure flew past their eyes. He was so fast that they could not see his appearance at all. The newcomer was none other than Aster. He was very anxious. He was afraid he had arrived too late. Fortunately, he arrived in time while the two were fighting fiercely, and his appearance shocked both of the people locked in battle. Aster's gaze was firm. And now, it is my turn to take the stage. This sudden change left Callahan utterly puzzled. Are you kidding me? He had not expected someone outside the plan to appear. But Aster did not care about any of that. He grabbed Callahan while he was casting. This place will become your grave. Callahan had not expected that such cold words, which he usually said himself, would actually be used on him today. His spellcasting was forcibly interrupted, and he was blown away by the shockwave of the explosion. After finally managing this sob, he kept coughing up blood. Looking at the masked boy amid the fireworks, Callahan knew he was going to lose. He cursed bastard while coughing blood, but he did not want to admit defeat here. He took out a bottle of potion and gulped it down in huge mouthfuls. He did not care where this mask had popped out from. Today, he had to die. While he was chugging the potion, Aster was not idle either. He leapt into the air, and with exquisite magic control, swiftly dealt with the assassins on the perimeter. Seeing this, Callahan was stunned. He could not believe that every movement of this unexpected was perfectly timed. Without the slightest it had reached peak efficiency, and more importantly, his magic had been perfectly optimized for speed. This time, he was truly shaken. But it also made him understand one thing. This guy absolutely could not be left. In fury, he released a massive flame. Facing the sudden attack, Aster seemed too late to dodge. The ball of fire exploded, with only one ordinary magic bullet. The man pierced through his opponent's skull. Time went back to a few minutes earlier. Facing the sudden attack, Aster had no time to dodge at all. The massive flames had completely swallowed Aster. Callahan was also coughing blood from overusing his body. Did that finish him? And then our other problem solvers had appeared as well. If it had been the proud Callahan of the past, he would never have wanted to work with them, because he had always believed that if one person could complete, everyone else was merely a burden. But now it was different. His body was already severely overdrawn. He could only rely on medicine, and Professor Palin still had not been dealt with. With no choice, he could only accept cooperating with the problem solver. But just after he drank the potion, a familiar voice came from behind him. Is this all you are capable of? A figure appeared from the smoke. Callahan. Judging by your appearance, you look like a deranged madman. But deep down, you are cold and ruthless. Like a venomous snake. From the very start, I knew you planned to have those problem solvers hold me back, but you overestimated them. That foolish decision of yours is precisely the reason for your defeat. After speaking, Aster made a finger gun gesture. An energy magic circle slowly appeared. Immediately after, an extremely fast energy ray shot out from his hand. Facing an energy attack that arrived before him in an instant, Callahan had no way to react. He could only let the being pierce through his head. Just like that, the Generation S battle mage came to an end. Aster landed lightly. Looking at Callahan collapsed on the ground, he could not help sighing, as expected of a renowned battle mage. If it had been any other mage, it would have been knocked down by that sudden attack. But not only did he dodge it, he could even counterattack. This was enough to prove that his reputation as a battle mage was not undeserved. His reactions and judgment were both extremely quick. Unfortunately, he was too. If he had joined forces with the problem solved, I would have been forced into a battle of attrition. Then I would not have been able to beat him. After all, my magic power has not yet reached the level needed to handle a war of attrition. As he thought about it, he walked toward Callahan's corpse. He crouched down and rummaged through Callahan's pockets. He was going to loot the body. Before long, he found Callahan's spatial storage pouch. Most battle mages would not trust anyone, so they would always carry their secret inherited spells with them. In every spatial storage pouch also basic ownership recognition spell on it. It should be similar to modern facial recognition, but he had no time to crack it now. He could only take it back and study it. Just as he put the storage pouch away, Professor Palin caught up from behind. You were too slow, Professor. Yes, those rats were a little clingy, but are you not a rat too? Hearing this, Aster burst out laughing. He thought Paulo and Professor Palin were one madman and one battle maniac, so they had no right to talk about him. Besides, he had killed people from Declan. After hearing this, Professor Palin lowered his. He felt that if Aster could call the other person a madman, then he must be the one Hens had sent. Aster had not expected the other party to trust him based only on that point. Although he believed that Aster's identity, Professor Palin still did not understand one thing. What was Paulo's identity? In the thesis he delivered, could the thesis have been split into two parts? Aster said he knew nothing about it. Maybe that thesis was forged. With that said, everyone finally understood, so this was Hens's fishing plan. Hens knew the other side suspected him, so he put himself into the trap, using a fake thesis to lure the rats out. He wanted to strengthen Hassan's and the Academy's defense to reduce Declan's chances of victory. Thinking of this, he suddenly realized that the Imperial Guard Knights who should have arrived long still had not appeared. Although the problem solvers had released a shielding spell, the scale of the battle just now was rather large. The shielding could not possibly be why had the Imperial Knights still not arrived. It seemed the Declan family had planted spies among the Imperial Knights. Seeing Aster lost in thought, Palin once again asked whether he was truly the messenger. Aster said nothing. He only handed over the thesis. Professor Palin opened it and looked. After confirming it was real, he asked Aster again, "Did you peek at the contents inside?" Aster was a little speechless. "Do you think I should have?" After hearing this, Palin coldly said, "I understand," but Aster took it as a provocation. "If you have a problem with me, I do not mind fighting again." Palin seemed to smell gunpowder in the air. He put the thesis away. "I do not want to lose an ally, so let us end this matter here." And he asked Aster again whether there was anything he wanted. Aster did not understand. Palin seemed to see Aster's confusion and explained that Hens only trusted one kind of person, people who had the same wish as himself. You must be that kind of person too, so to build trust, I must give you something as well. After hearing this, Aster thought he wanted a book. A book? Now it was Palin's turn to be confused. Aster told Palin about his wish. He wanted to build a massive library, then fill it with books that anyone could read. He wanted Palin to write a book about his understanding of magic. After hearing this, Palin scratched the back of. He felt this was rather interesting. Although he felt no one could understand the books he wrote, he still agreed to Aster's request. As he was leaving, Palin asked Aster for his contact information, but Aster teased him, saying he did not like men. and did not want to give his contact info. Alan hurriedly explained that it was for convenience when submitting the next thesis. Hearing this, Aster took out a string of prayer beads. This is a communication crystal. They are connected to each other. If one breaks, the other will break too. If you need to meet, break one. If there is trouble, break two or more. Then I will not appear. After saying that, Aster left. Alan was a little annoyed. Do I look like the kind of man who would like men? Before long, the Imperial Knights finally arrive. They quickly brought the scene under control, then began clearing the battlefield and treating the wounded for safety's sake. They also evacuated the students living nearby overnight. Aster and Damien were among them. On the way, Damien even said he had not seen Aster in so long, and asked what he had been busy with lately. Aster joked that he had been busy with a grand plan. After saying that, he fell into deep thought. Callahan and the problem solvers hidden in the academy had all been dealt with. The evidence was clear. So, the Declan family should stay quiet for a while. Seeing Aster's serious face, Damien thought he was constipated. Friend, are you feeling unwell somewhere? Do you need me to heal you? But Aster, lost in thought, did not hear him at all. He could not understand why, in the last battle, Haven had reacted like that. Because it usually did not react, but when he blocked Callahan's spell, that energy poured into his barrier. And thanks to that, he successfully blocked the counterattack. So this was not a bad thing. But it did not feel like the barrier became stronger. It was more like a rejection reaction. This was a method used by elemental mages. A technique that prevented the caster themselves from being harmed. Just like Callahan, he kept releasing fire magic. Yet he himself was completely fine. Perhaps because he was thinking too deeply. Aster blurted out, I do not understand. Damien thought Aster was answering him. So he immediately said, you do not need to, you only need to take off your pants right now. But Aster was still meditating. Why would it react like that? What are its activation conditions? Looks like I still need to research it further. So he decided to go to the library to check. But once he came back to his sense, he immediately Damien was pulling at his pants. Stop tugging at my pants, Damien. Just like that, they soon arrived at the largest library. Just as Aster was about to go in, he suddenly noticed someone calling him from behind. He turned around and saw a boy with freckles on his face greeting him. Hello, my name is Bai. Nice to meet you. Aster, you really are a very strong fighter. Hearing this, Aster's heart trembled. He saw me fight? Has my identity been exposed? Should I deal with him? The snot-nosed slug who slept in class actually measured a magic value during the magic measurement ceremony that reached monster level. Last time, after Aster was stopped by Bai, killing intent rose in him. It was normal for him to react this way. After all, he had been the finest problem solver. Seeing Aster remain silent, Bai continued launching sugar-coated cannonballs. It turned he had noticed Aster at the opening ceremony. He believed that a freshman who had just enrolled could defeat that Mars Club member was a very cool thing. And for such a big man to leave no bad record behind, made him admire Aster even more. After hearing this, Aster smiled awkwardly. He thought, this does not seem like a good thing, but Bai kept following him and talking non-stop, making him a little impatient. Bai seemed to realize it was a bit awkward, so he said that he was also a freshman. Because it was a little hard to fit into the new environment, he wanted to find a close friend. Aster understood that feeling very well. After all, he himself was born in the slums. Although the academy promised that regardless of status, everyone would be treated equally, that was only from the academy's perspective, not from the student's point of view. For people from poor families like him, going out to find companions was perfectly normal. Perhaps because he felt the same, Aster agreed to let him follow him from now on. After hearing this, Bai grinned because he had not held much hope himself. He had not expected Aster to be unexpectedly easy to talk. Just like that, they talked a lot along the way. This kind of cheerful chatting was something Aster could no longer remember trying in ages. Perhaps this was the normal way to have a conversation, but he could not be blamed. After all, everyone he had met in this world was a weirdo. But now, his academy life had only truly begun. Early the next morning, the classroom was already full of people. Damien was yawning as usual. Just like everyone back then, he became listless the moment class started. Very soon, Bai also arrived in the classroom right as the bell rang. As soon as he sat down, he began complaining. Such a huge thing happened yesterday, yet we still have class today. Seeing this reaction, Aster concluded Chen Bai's background was not wealthy, but not too poor either. After all, with such a huge commotion, he had not shown any fear. Instead, he seemed very relaxed. Aster felt Chen Bai should become a pretty good friend. After that, they began discussing their homeroom teacher. But speak of the devil, and the devil appeared not long after Chen Bai opened his mouth. The homeroom teacher walked up to the podium. Aster recognized her as well. She was the fierce female professor who replaced the principal. At the opening ceremony, after a simple self-introduction, she comforted the students about last night's incident. Immediately after, she announced that the students would undergo a magic power test. But before the measurement, she raised a question between the quality and quantity of magic power, which is the moment the question was asked, someone raised a hand. The one who raised her hand was a short-haired girl with big eyes named Arson. She said she did not have an exact answer. She believed that a certain level of magic power could be guaranteed, then quality would be more important. For example, when fighting a mage of the same level, the side with a higher magic value would have an advantage, but magic quality affects accuracy, stability, and the power of your spells. Even if you possess a large amount of magic power, if you cannot hit the target, and all that magic power is useless. Arson's analysis was clear and logical. She still did not receive the professor's. This left her a little confused. Although she was not acknowledged, the professor still felt her understanding was quite accurate, so she asked where Arson came from. After learning she was from the Marquis family, the professor revealed a thought-provoking expression. This frightened Arson quite badly. She did not know what she had said wrong. Then the professor asked if anyone else wanted an answer, but after scanning around, she saw no one raising a hand. With no choice, she could only randomly point a student to answer. The chosen student was so nervous his forehead was covered and he stammered that magic quantity was more important. Because in large-scale battles, magic quantity was the guarantee for launching skills. In fact, what he said was not wrong. On large battlefields, the amount of magic power might be more important than its quality. Generally speaking, it depended on certain specific facts. Both quantity and quality were crucial. But this answer made the professor very dissatisfied. Then she asked the other students, but not a single answer was what she wanted. The class instantly fell into discussion. Aster did not understand what the professor was doing. Arson was also brought to tears by the rejection. At this moment, the professor began to speak. Actually, all of your answers were very close, but from the very beginning, there was no correct answer. So, the answer I wanted was not the correct answer either. Think carefully. What kind of answers did you give me? Were your answers consistent with your own thoughts? Or were you thinking of what I wanted to hear? A true mage must never lose their own subjectivity at any time. They cannot be shaken by others. And they must be able to act completely according to their own. What about you? Just now, all of you are guessing the answer I wanted. That is not the mindset a mage should have. From now on, you must change this way of thinking and become true mages. This is the content of this lesson. I hope all of you will remember it well. After she finished speaking, the classroom fell silent. Aster also let out a breath. In his heart, he felt that he had always held firmly to his original view. Then the professor began selecting class officers. Arson, who was still crying, was chosen as class. Her first answer had shown the professor a meticulous way of thinking. The professor asked her to help record the students' magic power levels. She walked down with cheerful steps, so happy even the passing breeze could feel it. Seeing this, the two-man comedy duo each wore a different expression. One was jealous, the other speechless. Without wasting more words, the professor asked her assistant to bring up the measuring device. Once the canvas was removed, a completely transparent and bright magic sensing sphere was revealed. This was a rare device for measuring magic power. It was said the Academy had gone through great effort to obtain it. And now, begin measuring your own magic power. Who will stand out from the rest? But just as the words fell, everyone was so shocked by the sudden light from the